We traded real gold for pieces of paper. By the end of this video, you will understand how a simple idea became a global cage and how to spot the next massive shift before it happens. Think about the last time you bought something. You tapped a card or swiped a phone. A number changed on a screen. It felt instant. It felt certain. But that number isn't physical. It doesn't exist in the real world. It's just a digital ghost. But there is a massive problem with everything we just said. How did we get from trading cows to trading invisible bits of data? We have to go back to the beginning to understand why the system is breaking right now. Thousands of years ago, trade was a nightmare. Imagine you are a farmer, you have too many apples, you need a new hammer, you find a blacksmith. But the blacksmith doesn't want apples, he wants bread. Now you have to find a baker who wants apples just so you can get bread to give to the blacksmith. This is called the double coincidence of wants. It is slow. It is exhausting. It makes growth impossible. To solve this, humans looked for a middleman. They looked for something everyone wanted. This was the birth of commodity money. People started using things that had inherent value. Salt was one. Shells were another. Even cattle served this purpose. If you had salt, you could buy almost anything because everyone needed salt to survive. But salt melts, shells break, cattle die. These things were too messy to build a global empire on. This is where things get interesting. Humanity needed something that lasted, something that was scarce, something that was hard to fake. Enter metal. Gold and silver became the kings of trade. They don't rot, they don't die. They are easy to divide into small pieces. Most importantly, they are hard to find. When something is rare, it carries weight. This created the first era of true stability. You knew exactly what a gold coin was worth. It was the same in one village as it was in the next. But carrying heavy gold is dangerous. If you are a merchant traveling 1,000 miles, you are a walking target. Thieves love gold. To fix this, people started leaving their metal in secure vaults. They would get a piece of paper in return. This paper was a receipt. It was a promise that the owner could come back and claim their gold. This was the first step toward the modern world. These paper receipts were much easier to move than heavy coins. They were fast. They were light. Eventually, people stopped going to the vaults altogether. They just started trading the papers. They realized the paper was easier to use than the gold itself. Here is where the math starts to break. The people running the vaults realized they could issue more receipts than they had gold. They thought they could lend out the extra paper and get it back later. This is the concept of fractional reserve banking. It allowed the economy to grow much faster. It created more money out of thin air. But it also created a massive hidden risk. What happens if everyone wants their gold at the same time? If the vaults are empty, the whole system collapses. This tension defines the history of finance. For a long time, the world stayed on the gold standard. This meant every dollar had to be backed by a specific amount of gold. It kept things in check. It prevented governments from printing too much. But the gold standard had a fatal flaw. It limited growth. If the economy grew faster than the amount of gold being mined, the system would choke. Nations wanted more freedom. They wanted to be able to react to crises by creating more money. This desire for control led to a massive turning point. In 1971, the link between money and gold was severed forever. The United States officially ended the gold standard. This moved the world into the era of fiat money. Fiat is a word that means by decree. Money was no longer tied to a physical thing. It was now tied to nothing but the trust in a government. This was a revolution. Now money could be created instantly. It allowed for unprecedented global expansion. It funded wars and built cities, but it also changed the fundamental nature of value. We stopped trading things and started trading promises. This brings us back to that digital ghost we mentioned earlier. If you find this changing how you see your bank account, please hit the subscribe button. It helps us keep making these deep dives. When money is just a promise, the government can change the rules. They can print more of it to pay off debts. They can adjust interest rates to steer the economy. But there is a cost. When you increase the supply of money without increasing the supply of goods, you get inflation. Inflation is a hidden tax. It makes every dollar you own less valuable than it was yesterday. You are working just as hard, but you are effectively getting poorer. This is the central conflict of our modern life. We live in a system designed for constant expansion. Debt is the fuel for this engine. Most of the money in our economy exists only as debt. When you take out a mortgage or a car loan, you are creating money. The entire global economy is built on the assumption that we will all pay it back. But what happens if we cannot? This leads us to a terrifying question. Is the current system sustainable? We see debt levels reaching heights never seen before. We see the purchasing power of the dollar dropping every year. The system is working harder and harder just to stay in the same place. This instability is what paved the way for the next great shift. We are now entering the digital age of money. This isn't just about credit cards. It is about the fundamental architecture of how value moves. On one side, you have decentralized technologies like Bitcoin. These are designed to be the opposite of fiat. They have a fixed supply. No government can print more. They are digital gold. On the other side, you have central bank digital currencies. These are digital versions of fiat. They offer even more control than the current system. Governments could track every single transaction in real time. They could program your money to expire if you don't spend it. They could restrict what you buy. This is the ultimate evolution of the power we talked about earlier. This is the climax of the story. We are moving from a world of physical assets to a world of pure information. In this new world, the winners will not be the people with the most gold. They will be the people who control the ledgers, the ones who decide what the numbers on the screen actually mean. So, is money good or bad? Money is neither. It is a tool. It is a way for humans to coordinate their efforts across time and space. When it works, it builds civilizations. When it is manipulated, it destroys them. The problem isn't money itself. The problem is the trust that underpins it. If we lose trust in the story of money, the whole world changes. We have gone from apples to salt to gold to paper to digital bits. Each step has made the world more connected, but also more complex. We have traded simplicity for speed. We have traded tangibility for scale. The question for you is whether you can navigate this new landscape without losing your footing. The future of money will likely be a battle between these two forces: the force of decentralized freedom and the force of centralized control. One wants to give you ownership. The other wants to give you efficiency. Which one wins will determine the shape of the next century. By understanding this history, you are already ahead of most people. You know that the numbers on your screen are not the end of the story. They are just the latest chapter in a very old tale. Stay curious and watch the shifts. If you want to keep decoding the systems that shape our lives, please like and subscribe. And to see what the future actually holds, click this video right here.